8:07 right now. Millions of people completed short sales, deeds in lieu of foreclosures, and were actually foreclosed over the past few years. And they're probably glad to get that nightmare behind them. But what if it turns out that's not the last you hear from the bank? Well, we're here with everything you need to know to protect yourself from lenders now pursuing folks for even more money is Fox 29 lawyer and advocate Shari. I want to thank you first for being here, Shari.
Sure.
A very serious subject we're talking about
crazy.
here. Let's talk about how banks can go after you for more money down the line, even if you're not expecting it.
Sure. Well, it's called a deficiency judgment. We've talked about them before. The deficiency is the difference between the amount of money that you owed the bank and the amount that they actually collect once they foreclose or sell your house with a short sale or a deed in lieu of foreclosure. And then a judgment, of course, is what the bank can go back and ask the judge for the right to collect from you. So they end up with what's called a deficiency judgment, and it's the right to go back and collect that difference from you.
I see. But what if you don't own the house anymore? That's the question.
Well, here's the catch. The law changed last year, about this time last year. It used to be that the banks had 5 years after that event, after the foreclosure sale, to go ahead and pursue you for this deficiency judgment. The law changed to 1 year. But for those sort of cases that were kind of caught in the middle of that change, anything that the actions that had been filed before July 1st of 2013, the courts gave those folks 1 year to go after their deficiency judgment. And the problem is that deadline's coming up now.
I'd say so. How long? I mean, some people walk away from a foreclosure and think it's just going to go away, but how long can banks go after your money?
Well, once the banks go after getting a deficiency judgment, so again, now they have 1 year to do that, they can actually, if they get that judgment and they record it, that judgment is good for up to 20 years. So they can continue pursuing you for your assets. So here's the thing, Mike. If your action was in place before July 1st of 2013, the deadline is this July 1st now. So I'm actually getting dozens of phone calls from folks who are in this situation. They short sold their house, they were foreclosed, they didn't specifically negotiate with the bank to waive the deficiency judgment, or these new laws don't apply to commercial property. So if it's a rental property, more than 1 to 4 units, for example, the banks still have that 5-year period. But I'm getting calls from folks who have moved to Nebraska, they have new jobs, they've moved on, and all of a sudden they're hearing that they're bound by this deficiency judgment. And even some of the folks who were found to be wrongly foreclosed, so they were foreclosed, then they got some kind of a payment from the bank as part of these settlements, and now their paperwork is still lost in the shuffle, and the banks are going back after them again for the deficiency judgment. So now is a really important time, if you've been foreclosed or short sold, to look between now and July 1st and make sure that you're not getting anything in the mail or any kind of service on issues like this.
Sure. And we're seeing so many of these now. We all know how the housing market bubble burst hard here in South Florida, but why so many of these deficiency judgments now?
Well, because of this deadline. Because the banks, if they don't file by July 1st of this year, then they lose the right to do it for any action that was begun before July 1st of last year. So they're really rushing to do this. So if you do get a notice that you're subject to a deficiency judgment, you want to make sure you fight that, because once it's locked in, once they go ahead and get the judgment against you, they can attach your assets, they can garnish wages for up to 20 years.
Hurting your credit down the line for sure.
Big time, big time.
All right, Shari Olefson joining us, and thank you very much for giving us those tips today. Holly, back to you now.